Greetings, line go getters. I'm Peter,
I'm Tyler.
and we're back for another installation of Ghanongga. We're learning more about Kubokota language from Solomon Islands, and we're well into our second text here, which is Butu Maluku, the Maluku tribe. And we're going to try to more or less pick up where we left off last time, talking about we just solved breadfruit. We decided it was Bate XU, and we don't know what consonant X is. Probably glottal stop. That would
Yes.
make sense.
So we got to input some more sentences, get this story together.
Yeah, I'm going to figure it out.
So that'll be text 2.
Yeah, we're going to scroll down to text 2 on spreadsheet
3.
and look for paragraph 3. So the way Tyler has put all these numbers in here for page, text, paragraph, it makes it very quick to know what we're looking for here.
Set yourself up to not make mistakes.
Or make less mistakes in any case.
Or fewer. So, breadfruit trees growing there. Yeah, looks good. This one says Patunjali was a hilltop in the forest and the village, and the shrine of their god was in that place.
All right, so it must be hilltop, forest, and shrine are the words we don't know. Would you say that? It's probably
Seems quite logical to me. Kumbo, I think, is hill or hilltop.
you think Toku is forest.
I do. Let me check my notes here. See if I agree with myself. Yes, I do.
Well, I want to make a guess that Tambuna is translated as shrine. Do you recognize? So if we deconstruct this and use our word sword, which is what our
I
is,
do recognize it. Yes,
yeah. So we would slice off the na.
it's a taboo word.
That's right. So we have the English word taboo, I believe, borrowed from Tahitian tapu. Of course, there's this unaspirated, sounding like the English B, which is unvoiced in word initial position. And of course, the difference is aspiration in English. So what is an unaspirated P in Tahitian probably will be pronounced as an English B. And you get taboo. Well, taboo goes all the way back to Proto-Oceanic at least. And taboo doesn't always mean exactly what it means in English. So this is more like something like sacred or profane.
Yeah. So
Yes.
the English apparently is borrowed from Tongan.
From Tongan. Right, I thought Tahitian, but Tongan also makes sense. It certainly was borrowed from Polynesian in any case.
Yeah. TAP.
I'm going to put a na there, dash that off, and I'm going to create a new entry. And I'm going to call it, how do you spell taboo in English? Two B's?
Double O, but I don't think that's a good gloss because our English word means inhibition. I would just call it sacred place.
I'm going to call it sacred because I'm betting that taboo na is like kind of that's agreement is it's the na is more like possessive is also working as agreement, right? That it has more to do the sacred thing of the, so it might be place related, might be not. I know that in Roviana you can use tambu to discuss certain relationships with people. So people are your tambus. I believe it is the cross-sex in-laws. Maybe my terminology is wrong. My wife's brother, I believe, is my tambu in Roviana. Now, if I'm wrong about that, please, and you speak Roviana, please write to us, tell us, we want to know the correct thing. But it's just an example that taboo doesn't necessarily mean words you can't say. It could mean a lot of things, although commonly also associated with words you can't say. All right, so now we've got to look for toku or kombu, and we're going to go ahead and go back to our text and search for those. I'm sure that's what Tyler...
Yeah, that's right. I was working on that a little bit a couple weeks ago.
Kumbo,
there you go. Yeah, that's right. I was going to say 2 hits. That seems about right. That's this sentence, the one that's highlighted.
And catching all the bonito in the stories of the Maluku and where the forest and the Maluku on the hills. Oh, we get forest and hills in both, and we get toku. and kumbo in both. But the order is reversed here, so I think it's pretty convincing that the translator gave us a clue that toku toku is forest and kumbo is hills. If there is any more mentions of forest, though, we can easily... Yes, there is. There's a third one. So there's the sentence we were looking at. Yes, and here's level places in the forest. So there's no way around it. Toku toku means forest. I'm not even going to break it down into reduplicants. I believe it's a fossilized reduplication. The word for forest in Roviana is also a reduplication that's fossilized.
Oh, cool.
Hingingu. And I don't know what hingo means by itself.
Well, I would guess that it was an old word for a tree, maybe. It's not still.
In any case, it's not cognate with the word here in Ghanongga, but you see a similar pattern going on. This is one of the great, fascinating and intriguing things about languages of the Western Solomons, is that there's a lot of lexical replacement, but certain patterns are preserved regardless. We can be pretty confident that kumbo is hilltop, which I'm going to write all as one word. What do you think?
I like that. Yes, that's some good spelling. So now that we have this two at the end of that first phrase, it could be pointing that it's far away, but I think it is the verbal marker of past tense, something like that.
What phrase are you talking about?
This one where we are. Patunjali na kumbo pa tokutokutu. I think it is a past tense marker, but my question is, where's the verb?
There's no existential verb. I know we literally have a verb that means exist. Let me rephrase that. There's no
here, copula is what we would expect here.
Yeah, so a copula in English is be, is, am, are, etc. But that doesn't happen in a lot of languages, actually. This isn't really very unique to Ghanongga. There are many languages that operate this way. And so I think that...
Including some forms of English are that way.
Give an example sentence, if you can.
All right.
I actually do hear it, but it's not a major part of my dialect.
And let me think about that.
We'll come up with one eventually. But in any case, in this one, it was more like Patu Jali, hilltop at forest.
It hilltopped.
Yeah. Almost the locative almost makes it even if there's no, as a syntactician, there is no verb head, yet there is a verb phrase, and there is certainly an inflectional phrase, and the two attaches there. But interestingly, it can go at the end. Now, this one does look like how the two works in Roviana a little bit, but we've seen two do quite a few things here in Ghanongga.
In fact, maybe, if not right now, at some point, it would be worthwhile to survey our instances of two. We always see it, if there is a verb, then it always follows the verb, usually directly, I think. So you wouldn't expect the two to be initial or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
It follows the verb, but it attaches it. When we look at adverbs in most languages, like English even, you can move adverbs around a lot more than you can move most things. So you can say...
Definitely is true. It is definitely true. It is true, definitely.
Today I ate a cake. Oh, you just gave an example. Oh, it's definitely. Okay. Definitely it is true. It is true, definitely. It is definitely true. Yeah, you can move definitely around. I was thinking today, you can move around.
It and is and true, they have to be in that order. True it is sort of works. But it definitely can essentially, it's very free. I won't say that it can occur anywhere and sound good, but it's very free. Probably the freest of all the English word classes.
Happily, I ran to the park. I ran happily to the park. I happily ran to the park.
Yeah.
I ran to the park happily. You can move it around quite a bit. I don't think two moves quite that much. There seems to be a couple spots, but it gives us an idea that it's attaching at a different level than, say, an adjective. Right. We might do an episode in the future where we discuss more on these levels. oftentimes when we're learning second languages or anything about language at all, people don't teach you about, I would say, like syntax or
Scandalously little teaching on that, yeah.
Yeah, we do a little bit of modeling using formal syntax. And we even have an in-house convention that's much easier to learn than, say, generative grammar. Although wouldn't be maybe as helpful once you get to something like this. You're going to want to understand a little bit about, let's call it tree structures or another form of representation so you can have an idea how to put these things in different boxes so you understand what's going on. Otherwise, you're going to be puzzled. Well, two must not be this way because it doesn't work, In any case, that will have to be for a future episode. I say we go ahead and move on to the next sentence. Let's see if I can get back to where I was.
Okay, 3, 2.
Not easily.
I think it was, the line was, oh no, never mind. Oh no, it was something in the 80s. 88 or so for this sentence.
Well, it's paragraph
3, yeah.
Right?
We're in 3. No, just like
we're in 3.
That we just finished 3. Never mind. 3 was a short one. That's global 3. That's that we're in. That's going to be the number in square brackets, I think.
I see. I need to be.
Yeah. So scroll up quite a ways.
There we are.
This is riveting viewing. Anyway, to recap this last sentence, Patanjali, the hilltop, it's hilltop. In the forest, it was. And then coal, okay. Dia, so that it was. The India is interesting. Their village. The na, who's a na? I think the na is following its noun. India, their sacred thing. Their god, Ria.
I think the na is modifying dia tambunu.
Okay, divergence of opinion is my favorite thing. Nandia Tamaza. What about the Ria there following the word for God, Tamaza?
So, I think that we were observing last time that this speaker uses Ria differently than the first speaker. I think it was actually a woman in the first text.
Miranda.
And so Ria certainly means 3PL, but in this third person plural, but it might be actually referencing the subject here. It might have nothing to do with. If we saw it in the previous text, Ria would be attaching to tamaza. We'd be like, all right, well, it's a verb and it's an object agreement. It's not how it's working here.
So this tuhu there, the last word but one, that is following a verb in this case. Ria kole tuhu ketakoi. They existed, place. It's kind of interesting.
We're calling it perfect two because we might change two originally into perfect, but just to say that two has something to do with past and tugu also seems to have something to do with past, and we're assuming it's more perfect. The difference between perfect and past in English is we don't have
let's not get hung up on that here.
Yeah, like I baked a cake, I have baked a cake. That would be the simplest way to explain the difference in English.
Let's add some more sentences.
Let's add another one. Our next one here is azai nge, which we know what nge means already. So then the Maluku saw the leaves of the breadfruit tree falling and floating down.
At least two verbs here. Oh, the verb of seeing will be there. There it is, batia. Now, I think that Ria pa Maluku, this is maybe the second or so occurrence of it. That's going to be the Maluku people. Those from Maluku.
Yes.
Not them really, but like I said, either those or they, the ones.
Yes, I don't think we put them because it was used as an object in the first text.
That's right. So, might be time for a new sense.
I think it's time for a new sense.
This is a nice feature of Flex. You don't have to just give your word a single meaning. That would be a little unrealistic. That's not how languages work. A single form, a word form, or stem or whatever can have many different senses. So how do you do it?
We
What do we
actually,
do?
I control clicked it, but we actually have
Okay, yeah,
we actually have it as third plural.
that's right. I remember doing this last time, I believe. Yeah, we had marked it as an object originally. We just took that specification out
Yeah, but why it's giving us constantly the gloss as
because that's a different level of analysis. It doesn't update the gloss so easily. It'll probably have two or so word translations stored, and it just there you go. That's what the yellow two tells you.
new word
It
gloss?
learned they or the ones.
You want to just call it 3PL since it could, we don't know the.
For the word glosses, I dislike the grammatical abbreviations personally. I want it to be
I'm
English.
gonna call it they.
That works.
I like those as well. That's pretty good, but I think they will work for what we're doing now.
But this collocation occurs quite frequently because it's what the text is about. It's the very title. The people from Maluku. So Ria Pamuluku is all throughout this story.
I would guess Enguru is leave. Leaf.
That is what I take it to be. Yeah, the fleshy tree part, and not the verb.
So we have the leaves of the breadfruit tree falling and floating down. So lotu might be fall, tiluzu might be float, and lame might be down. Right. This is interesting to me because lotu, I suspect, is cognate with Roviana lotu. There's a different meaning in Roviana, which is to pray.
Ah.
So what's that?
I'm just recapping the meaning of all this sentence. Let's create. Oh, let's confirm Enguru for to our satisfaction, and we can create the entry.
Are we getting guru 6 times? Gosh, let us do as the leaves do, float down. So there, float, we get tiluzu. Again, so that kind of confirms tiluzu on our way. Guru. This one also they have, but the men fell to the death. They were not leaves, so it is definitely conserving leaves. There we have Tinoni Hu. I'm guessing that's men from POC Tioni.
I agree, person or man. We see Tino and Tio, both forms.
Did we talk last week about the TOTA thing in Roviana? Maybe we talked about that off camera, but anyways, we're looking for this kind of word. There we have Nenguru, which is contracted. I think we can be pretty confirmed that Nguru means leaves. There we get it with nothing but leave, and we get Lotu again for fall. So we've kind of confirmed all three with this a bit. The only one we haven't confirmed is Lame. So let's look for Lame right quick. 2 or 3 times. The dolphins came and threw themselves into the net and carried it. Lame kind of sounds like come now. And the result was not good because the tide came back and rose over.
Came back.
Yeah, we have this Keza for kind of like.
Yep, could have 2 synonyms stuck together there. Serial verb.
Yeah. I think we get serial verbs a lot.
That's not CEREAL, but SERIAL. Verbs in serial.
Serial, so like repeat offenders.
That's right. Yeah. Incorrigible verbs.
So we can feel pretty confident about Nguru. Let's go ahead and update that in our analyze section. And I want to call it leaf.
Yeah.
One thing worth noting here is that sometimes plural stuff is. Oh no, there's a plural marker right there. Adi. Adi na Nguru. It's like I felt like the leaf. So if you're an English speaker, you're expecting plurality to be indicated directly on the noun, right? In some way. We have some irregular, so-called plurals in English, such as tooth, teeth. But we also get book, books. So we put an S or Z or schwazi on the end of it. You get some ones that do other stuff too, like
Children.
knives or leaf leaves, where you voice the final thing and put a plural on there. But what's apparently going on in Ghanongga, and is, as far as I know, somewhat common in Oceanic, is that the kind of modifiers that precede the noun in the noun phrase are where plurality is indicated. So this is, we would call this like an article complex. Arti and na is one thing indicating. Maybe it's two things. It's like agglutinative a bit. It could be two separate words, could be fused in real life. We don't know.
Right. Hard to tell.
It's where we're looking for plurality though. So Tiluzu, pretty much, we feel pretty confident that means float. And for Lotu, we feel pretty confident it means fall.
I'm thinking, yes, falling and dropping, something of that nature.
Because we saw it a couple times. They would climb the breadfruit tree and drop off, and they would float down. But there we get Lotu and Tiluzu again in the order the translator is giving us a hint again. Atu Lotu, Atu have we encountered Atu yet?
I believe so. Do you think it has two in it, or just a coincidence?
Coincidence. Well, I don't know. Historically, might be connected, but Atu and Mai are Atu, Mai, La, Lao, something like this, are all pretty common directional particles in Oceanic.
Yeah,
and
cool.
You probably encountered it a bit in your study of Indonesian. How do you say go in Indonesian?
Go is pergi.
That doesn't help me.
Not a slam dunk.
In Sasak, it's Lalo. So Sasak, by the way, for the people not listening, I only am familiar with one variety of Sasak, which there are many on the island of Lombok, which is just east of Bali. So it's in Indonesia. So it's more closely related to Indonesian than Oceanic languages. That's why I brought up the example to say that this is far-reaching in the family.
There's probably many verbs of go. That's just the one I've learned so far.
To fall as the breadfruit leaves do. Then we get Nalotu and Guru. So there na is, Lotu is maybe a zero-derived noun there. Or na does multiple things, and one of them is verbal complex. Which
one do you think it might be a noun? That line 95 there, it's highlighted?
Yeah, Nalotu.
He would drop. Veve na. Veve. So we've seen that Veve is extremely interesting. We've seen it as Veve na, written as one word. Here it's got three nas following it.
So and we have Nana as kind of like that.
Another fusion of two identical little didactics there.
Well, and we've got a kind of like metaphorical as the, and so this is a grammar point which is going to have to be negotiated somehow. And I find that these kind of things tend to have wider variation than, all right, well, adjectives and nouns going to be easy to figure out how that's working more or less, even if there's agreement or something. But this is like a comparative to fall as this as that. Even in English, we have multiple ways to do this, and not everybody does the same. You're going to get a bunch of variation from speakers. A lot of people would say to fall like fruit leaf do, not as, right?
Or even more interestingly, breadfruit like.
Yeah, so there's don't be surprised if this one uses some, in whatever language you're working in, uses some machinery, some syntactic machinery that you thought did something else. Something in every language needs to be able to accomplish this function. And it might not be what you expect. There we have below it pretty easily drop. So Lotu means fall or drop. I see it about half the time as drop. Would you like to go with drop or fall?
Let's say fall. Because I feel this is more intransitive. Drop goes either way in English. So I feel fall is a little clearer for what we want.
If it goes either way, then we should see some object agreements. Let's go with fall for now.
Provisional.
Provisional. So we feel pretty confident about Tiluzu, by the way, which we've seen quite a bit. I'll do a quick search. We don't have to look at every example. Tiluzu.
There they are. They're all four in that one stretch.
Let us do as the leaves do.
Float down.
Now look at this. We get Nanda instead of Nana.
Oh, cool.
Nanda might be another plural version of Nana. Because we've got a different version of
Vevey is there.
Another one of those.
Mm-hmm. That it seems to often be there with comparisons or saying ways of doing something.
Because it's our how situation.
Yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah, yeah. It is how. Okay, then the next Tiluzu. Go ahead.
What is ta is also a problem. Now, any Austronesianist worth their salt has an intuition here. Ta is a passive prefix all the way over in Sasak and all the way over in Roviana. It could be written as a particle or could even be not a prefix anymore. I'm not sure that's what this is doing here. And I think we've seen ta do something else before that wasn't pacifying the verb. So
the first paragraph had the tribe itself cannot tell us, but the people from early times say they were a crazy tribe. In that sentence, we had a standalone right before a causative. Let us go down. Okay.
Are we still looking at Tiluzu?
I'm looking at ta right now. Okay. Tiluzu is going to be float. Yeah, it's always floating. Not always. Look at that last example. The one that's highlighted. Enguru kona tinoni gu. They're falling. Anyway,
I think
because Zake Tiluzu, they didn't float. I think that's with a negative there.
Yes.
Maybe.
I think that float is what we are using in the translation, what's being provided to us. But the context tells us that float in English might do. When I think of float, I typically actually think of things that are buoyant on water. They're not using it this way, and I bet that they have a different word for things that are buoyant on water. I would be a gambling person here since we have no evidence, but that's my suspicion. I suggest you do see things that float in the air like dust particles and stuff. So glide isn't exactly perfect either. But glide might be an alternative gloss for Tiluzu because it's something that stays in the air.
I see. Float because float has those multiple meanings. Yeah, let's do that. Sounds good to me.
Now I'm doubting myself and thinking float might be better because glide has some kind of implicature or whatever that something can kind of move through the air. Whereas this just seems to be stuff that doesn't go down in the air. I'm going back to float. What do you think?
Float away.
I almost want to put float air, but since we don't know, I'll leave it. We'll look for Tiluzu in a story that contains more water than this one. There is a bunch of them. When you live on island change and archipelago, there's a lot of specific words for this stuff. All right, and do we want to solve Lame or do you want to skip to Ta? Let me look for
Lame. Yeah, did I have that?
The dolphins came and threw themselves into the net and carried it, so they were all killed, all who were fishing for dolphin with the net. Oh wow, they tried to fish the dolphin with the net, and the dolphin dragged the people into the ocean, it sounds like. And that is Lame. And it looks like they came, the dolphins. Lame ria natovutuvu, they came. So here we're getting ria a lot for only subjects. Okay. We got the first Lame, which we've already looked at, and the results were not good because the tide came back and rose. We get Lame here with our first story, and we didn't solve it.
That's always good. We can round out the picture of that.
Lame seems to be another version of came.
Okay, what if it's combined downward motion and motion toward a center?
Well, in this case, that's a harder thing to say because the tide is
Right.
going up.
Okay, yeah, not downward. Okay.
I wonder if it has the meaning of. So let's look at our lexicon right quick. And
comes toward us the way water does.
Well, we already have a. Let me organize these by glosses.
You gonna just click that? Yeah, click that cell.
I'm trying to. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I have it in the wrong order. Let's do it the other way.
Yeah, if you you get it. It'll do it either alphabetical or reverse alphabetical.
So we don't have came at all, although I thought we had it with Kamu.
Wouldn't you want
to come? Sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. Wouldn't have let you.
Let's look at Kamu right quick. Compare if there's a meaning difference. I suspect one of these might mean arrive.
See, interesting. Yeah, that sounds promising.
We get a lot of Kamu, and then another time was when the Rauru people came.
That's going to be more familiar as Lauru, I think.
Yeah, this is. So you figured it out.
I just read through the. Did I? How did I figure that out? Probably just looking at a map. That was my guess.
That's right. The island called Choiseul, which is like a French word, I guess, or something, is called in Roviana Lauru.
Yeah.
And in Ghanongga, they clearly have L and R. But whatever.
But it's a place name, yeah. Some external place. It will.
Whoever they got the name from has an LR merger.
Exactly.
Can you think of, I don't know, any other languages that were loaning out words like crazy in this area that had an LR merger?
Oh, Portuguese. Portuguese comes to mind.
Polynesian.
Okay.
That's why we get rane instead of langiti. Rane is our word for day, coming presumably from langit, the word for sky. And this LR merger is present in Polynesian, so in Hawaiian you get lani, but in Maori you get tangi.
Oh, well, the word for day is just la, or that's one word for day in Hawaiian.
The word for sky.
La sky, okay.
Sky is lani. Okay. But rane, one sky used for one day. It's a pretty good analogy, especially if it's a loan word. Then to them it just means.
Yep. Where to borrow.
They came from Rauru.
Oh yeah, let's figure out these two come verbs.
If it was really arrived, then we get arrived them parauru.
Yeah.
Should be they arrived at Rauru. It came from. We do have a difference between from and at here with this pa, and pa is being used as both. I wonder if ria parauru, like this is a special construction because we've seen this ria pa, this ria used for the dolphins. I wonder if ria is doing something special here. Let's see a little more kamu and see if we can figure out what's the difference between kamu and lame.
That's right.
Ge kamu. So when the Choiseul people came to fight, they came them from Rauru. Rapatia, we don't know what rapatia means quite yet. Maybe fight, probably.
I have a guess that it is do battle. Yeah.
Another time came. So
okay.
we have for return. Maka one auto time. Azai so then type thing. So they arrived at another time.
Transitive looking. Very nice.
Maybe we call both of them come and we don't have a difference yet.
For kamu, arrive seems to fit quite well. You don't think so?
I do think kamu fits very well with arrive.
So what's the difference? Arrive has an endpoint, but coming does not specify that it's endpoint. It's just about a direction, right?
Ko, so, tata kamundi ria pa rauru. Now, kamundi,
Imperfective. The people are coming and will kill us all.
yeah, I think tata means close, and the kamundi is actually object or subject agreement, and that this ria pa rauru, the ria isn't really associated with a verb; it's associated with the pa rauru, exactly as you're really suggesting. Those of rauru.
Yeah.
So those might be even in a better gloss than they. We can leave it for now until we know for sure. All right, I have to say, I think arrive is better based on this evidence, because if they were almost coming, coming refers to both the action too. I'm coming is fine. I'm arriving means I'm there now. Right? I'm coming means I'm on the way. So I am down to change kamu to arrive.
Nice.
And then assign come to lame. We are crushing this story. We're making great progress. Now, do you want to go ahead and search for ta before we move on to the next sentence?
I kind of do, yeah.
I kind of do. I'm actually going to do space ta space.
That's what I've done. Yeah.
By itself.
That only gives you 4, but 4 is plenty to start with.
No, this is. If it were passive cause, it would be puzzling, because then it's down 1 intransitivity, up 1 intransitivity. It would be neutral.
I mean, languages that have causatives do make passives of them.
It's very true. I have fed the baby. Wait, no, that's perfect. The baby was fed.
Baby has been fed.
Baby has been fed. There we go. Fed, feed, by the way, dear listener, is feed is cause to eat. That was how we would break that down. All right, I'm feeling actually not that opposed to ta being the. As soon as they dropped, they fell and smashed to pieces on the earth. Now we have peso as earth already. If Piara was smashed, they were smashed. So instead of getting object agreement, the earth smashed them, they were smashed by the earth. I think ta as a passive is pretty strong based on this evidence here in line 94 for us. I think that is pretty strong evidence if Piara means smash. Smashed them by the earth. So we're getting this kind of like post-verbal subject indexing. And there we get dia, not ria. Now, dia pa peso isn't the same as ria pa peso. Ria pa peso would be those of the earth.
Yeah. Earthling.
Dia pa peso is smashed them. It's pretty interesting. Maybe our speakers aren't using ria and dia differently. Maybe this person is using a different style of syntax, and it means the same in both speakers, but they're negotiating the same meaning differently.
Okay, yeah.
Let's get to shore, they said. Now get. This is a huge clue from the translator, in my opinion. I got bitten instead of I was bitten. People use got as a kind of passive marker in English instead of was all the time.
It gets used.
You know, I got bitten by a mosquito. Not as good, but okay. Maybe we can tentatively gloss ta as passive. Although we actually don't have, I think, the full evidence we would need to do so. That's not the first. Here's the first. Here's where we are. You would like to gloss it or leave it?
That has two. I don't know. I think it might have multiple functions.
So this has 2 glosses in one. And so they thought, gosh, Let's do as the leaves do and float down. Let me put a space there. All right, so to recap the story so the listener will read these couple sentences because it may not be clear. I will tell you the way it was with the Maluku tribe. They tell us the Maluku was a crazy tribe. The tribe itself cannot tell us, but the people from early times say the Maluku was a crazy tribe. Now the land of Maluku began at Patunjali and came to Vori. This space was the land of the Maluku. Oop, I went too far again. Now the land of Maluku began at Patunjali and came to Vori. This space was the land of Maluku. Sorry for repeating myself. And these Maluku had their village at Rinjo Bangara. That was their village. And at Patunjali, these were the two main villages of the Maluku. Now the origin of the Maluku were Joliononi and Kendiononi, which we take to be spirits. These two came from the devil's side of their god, these beings, Kendiononi and Joliononi, the crazy pair. These two were the crazy ones of the Maluku. And a day came when they, those Maluku people at their village at Patunjali, saw there were sago palms and breadfruit trees growing there. Patunjali was a hilltop in the forest, and the village and the shrine of their god was in that place. So then the Maluku people saw the leaves of the breadfruit tree were falling and floating down, and they thought, gosh, let us do as the leaves do, float down. So this is the first instance we're getting of their irrational behavior. They look at leaves floating and like, we will float too. All right, and I think we got most of the words in this one, except how.
Rongu, rongua. That's a good one.
Must be thought.
I think it is, yeah. Do we have more than one instance of it?
Let's go look for
one hit.
Let's look for rongu. That would be our verb.
This is the only occurrence in both texts.
Jeez, that is correct. It is the only occurrence.
But
I'm guessing
from its position, right, introducing the quote, it's got to be a thinking verb, because the one following it is said, gewa.
Yeah, I think it's thinking, and I'd go as far to say as it's thinking it.
Looks from the form, yeah, I agree. And then ria. Ria there, the subject follows. Okay, subject there seems to precede and to follow the verb. They thought maybe it's reflex or like...
This pre-verbal subject agreement only happens when a certain aspect is going down. I don't know what it is, but it's indicating some sort of tense or aspect to us. And this seems to be the regular subject. Now I wonder, are we getting this ria here?
They thought it to themselves.
Are we getting it only with transitive subjects? Let's keep an eye out. Is ria acting as a subject only when it's a transitive subject?
That would be interesting, huh?
That would be interesting. I don't know. We'll do a ria search in just a second. Let's deal with rongu now. Do you want to call rongu think and reduplicate it? Or do you want to call rongu think?
I tend toward the latter. How about you?
I think for now, it would be okay to tentatively gloss it as one word.
Later on, we might see.
And if we see it as a singleton later, we will update our thinking. Get it? Because it's thinking is the verb we're talking about. That was a very bad wordplay. But we'll update our thinking because the reduplication is continuous aspect, which gives us the... So.
Nice.
It was pretty bad. I confess. All right, koi seems to me like so or something, right?
Koi is gosh. It's an exclamation. Are you talking KOI? Yeah.
Let's call it gosh. Let's lowercase it and call it gosh. Just so we don't have it as a space so much.
I think that we see it also occurring in the form K, K-E. And the other text had a bunch of, I think that's going to just be a variant of this.
That K-E spelling is interesting because it's like a compromise between the two vowels.
Exactly.
I like it. I'm a fan, of course. All right, now, how we should already have.
One function of ta seems to be introducing let's do something.
Ta, we have as one plural object?
Ourselves. Oh, I did. Yeah. Okay. Now that we see that, it does sound familiar. It's been several weeks.
Gosh, let us. Yeah, it does seem to be like one plural volitional or something. Yeah, so ta already means that makes sense from Gita. It does make sense. And it's right there in the how is a verb in this case? Nanda, we have seen Nanda before. This is there as something like it's like the Nana that we see as, but maybe this is plural. Let's look for Nanda right quick. We get it once. We get Nana many times. Less if we make it its own word. All right. Fall as the bread troops do. So there it's tu veve nana. So Nana and Nanda seem to be doing similar things here.
Look at it, how we have the two following this Nanda. I bet you this Nanda could be a verb root, like resemble or something.
All that. So there, Nana we have is that already. So that makes sense. Where do we get Nana? Here is the battle axe with the hair. He went up toward them.
Igwa, he took it. His shield.
We need a little shorter sentences to really know what's going on.
There it is, Nana.
Story of the clam.
The one of the, yeah.
Story that clam. There was a giant. Existed that one giant. Existed there. There is kind of what maybe we're getting there. So gosh, let us do that. There leaves. Let's check the original text right quick. This sentence starts with Azai, so let's get us back to the sentence we were on.
Maluku, or the other one?
Oh, I'm in the wrong story somehow. Let's find Nanda. I'm gonna check the original text right quick and see if this might be a typo and it should be Nana, because it would be convenient for us if that was the case.
Well, okay. I've got it. I've got the PDF pulled up. Just need to get to the right. I think we're still on page 1. So the page numbered 14 is what we want. And it's going to be the 4th paragraph on that page.
It says Nanda. No doubt about it, it says Nanda.
That also, of course, could be a mistake.
I bet it's not a mistake. Yeah. We just don't know what it means yet. I
D
think
for N, they're not close to each other on the keyboard. Yeah, I think it's.
But they are
organic
between single and plural. We've already seen in Ghanongga, so I bet it's some version of something like that. But for now, we have to leave it because we just don't know. It could also be a difference in distance. So if it's something like,
very good.
In English, we mostly have like this and that. Although our system isn't like, if you had studied Japanese, they have like koko, asoko, so, what I don't remember what they are, but distance for your kind of, it's sort of like a determiner, or this thing, that thing, and then farther away. The distance might be something that's conditioning it here, though we don't know. And very frustratingly, it still hasn't identified Veve, though in the analysis we already did. What's going on?
Well, we haven't taught it a word gloss. It's like they're not really that directly linked, these two things. It's going to recognize lexemes, but it has to have seen a certain word with a given word gloss in order to propose it again.
Let's how. It might even be like do how.
I'm more surprised that it doesn't recognize the ngegwa at the end, the speaking verb, saying verb. Would have expected we'd seen that form. They said it will be the meaning. They say it, word for word.
I'm going to say they say it. Just
Yep.
sure like that.
Say.
I almost think for Veve we should see do as. Let's do a quick search of Veve and see if that would work for several cases. Veve. Let's follow do as. Gosh, let us do as the leaves to fall as the breadfruit leaves do as. That was when the bonito were jumping. No, the reason.
Uh-huh. For all that catching is an omen.
It makes sense that all these words are connected semantically, but I don't think we have a good one for one in English for how it's going to work. I almost think we should leave it as how, and then just not really comment on it until we have a better gloss.
Reason is there in a couple instances. The way, the how, the reason. No way, no how.
The way does make sense.
Also sounds kind of like the word in question, way.
Right, that's right. If you said way, probably that would get you where you were going. I'm just gonna leave it as how. What do you think?
Yeah, for here, let's put how. The how of it.
Yeah, I don't have a better one for right now. And Keza, we never quite solved, right? Or Mari.
Or which? Mari. Let's see. Do I have a Mari in my notes? Marene. No, I don't have a Mari there. Let's find it. You looking up Keza?
So put in our free translation while we're thinking about it. They would climb the breadfruit tree and drop off it, and they would float down, they thought.
It's what they were intending to do, yeah.
Mari, I feel like has to be something with plural there, but Keza must be climb. Let's
Oh, interesting. Could be.
climb them the breadfruit tree. Although maybe it's climb the breadfruit trees.
Climb, yeah.
They would climb the breadfruit tree and drop off it. Yet no. And Gegwa is there, they say it, but it means they think it.
Yeah. Thinking it, saying it, representing to someone. They would climb the breadfruit tree. I think you're right. It's climb. Climb the breadfruit tree so that they fall. So that
I have a guess on Mari, by the way.
It's floating gently or something, drifting.
Yeah, they would float down like the leaves. I have a guess on Mari.
Where else? Okay, let me look in the text. 4 hits.
All right, we'll look at Mari right quick.
They did not call choices.
They did not call the Chisels to climb up. They didn't say. There's
ri like ria could be a third plural something. Mari.
Yeah, so
they have killed me. Yeah. It's the pronoun is what it is. It's one of the pronouns they.
Yeah, so now this is a good one. Munabati Ria Mari from a previous story.
You'll see them sitting on the reef. Ria and Mari seem to have same indexing.
But yeah, Ria
they. But then okay, Mari Nanyumu, that's they are sitting. Okay. Yeah, it's got to be
my guess, but not quite what I'm guessing here. Let's see. Think it's a last example? Okay, Mari Vaizu. Ooh, they have killed me, he said. They have tricked me. Right? Yet, importantly, he doesn't die at this point in the story. We recall he doesn't die till the end when the tide takes him and covers his head, the giant.
That's true.
Isn't it weird that he says they have killed me in the translation, yet he's still alive?
It's like that Reno 911 famous meme.
I
I
have
got
a more confident guess on
my.
aspect mood this point.
Is that some sort of intentional they intend to
My hint
future?
came from this right here.
They would climb. Would, yeah.
Subjunctive.
Some Irialis.
Something like this. Irialis would be fine too. Yeah, I would dig Irialis. In fact, I like that a little bit more, maybe. But the closest we have to this in English is would, might, could. Things that are potential, but not real yet.
Okay, and you think it's just coincidence that all our cases have a third plural? All our
No, no,
cases
no,
have.
no. I think it's third plural subjunctive.
Okay, I see. Neat.
I think that every time we're getting these kind of subject agreements before the verb, there's always a tense aspect mood to it.
How
And that's
neat.
why sometimes we don't get it because there's no tense aspect mood to that phrase. So this one, I would go with Irialis. I like that a lot, or subjunctive. But subjunctive is a bit more like make it make sense to English speakers, which is unimportant to us. So I'm going to put three. I'm
Three
going to put
plural.
first.
IR. Let's use caps. Yeah.
Although I do think, because we've already got subject for SUBJ, so I'm going to use IRR for Irialis.
Sounds good.
I actually think that the Irialis part is at the beginning, not the end, but I'm doing it this way anyway so that it matches all our other 3PL glosses.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I had to break it down with my word sword, I would probably say the Ari part carries the whole 3PL meaning, and that M probably comes from Ma, and that the two vowels collapsed. Just a guess.
Excellent stuff.
So what we've got is 3PL subject. It's probably not 3PL subject. It's probably something like realis. And this ria that we're seeing is probably literally a neutral 3PL and can be used as object or subject.
Fantastic. Okay, with that being created, let's put in the word gloss they'd, because we have a single word in English, word form in English that conveys that too. They would, they'd. Let's teach it that one so when we see it again.
All right, I dig it. I dig it.
And then in the spreadsheet, can you do a search for mana? With a space following. This is a really good insight of yours. Okay, that one's not such a solid, but there would be the end of the story.
The end of the story. Done.
That would be it.
That would be
but
all.
The others are even firmer, I think.
Done. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. We've been struggling with mana a little bit. I think we already have mana glassed.
I'll tell you the way it was. I'm gonna tell you. It hasn't happened yet.
Right. I would tell you the way of the
I will see them now, and I will kill them. 2 hits.
I would see them, I would kill it. But it's certainly irrealis because it hasn't happened yet. Oh, I think I actually don't even need any more evidence. I'm very convinced about this.
Done. And those of you hearing this term for the first time, irrealis, it's just a negative from realis, which is real. Irrealis, referring to states that are not real, which is an important category in language, in grammar, in thought. Some events we're committing ourselves, when we describe certain things in the past, we're committing ourselves to a belief that they are real, that they've occurred, but lots of the things we talk about are not in that category.
I think irrealis is even better than subjunctive after reading all the mana ones. So let's go and see if we already have mana glossed.
Yeah, you can just go to the, yeah, exactly. Just click that lexicon button and you can go by head word. Super easy to use. You're going to scroll down.
We don't have, but we do have mana.
We say it as one singular future, but that one case was that's where the story, maybe it's that's where I will end the story. Or the na seems more third person agreement than first to me now.
It is always first person related.
Yeah, that's true.
These holes, no. Mana cole, there by the edge of the stream, is it will exist. It would exist.
Muna is the you will.
Yeah.
You'll. It'll.
So mana seems to be having at least maybe it's first person and third person.
It's true. Things can sound alike. That happens quite a bit.
I will see them now. I would see them. Yeah. I will finish there. I think the first person meaning is strongest. Come tomorrow and I'll kill him. Yeah, there's first person where he took the fish. You'll see those holes there by the edge of the stream. Don't worry about them. I don't know what the mana is doing there. Mana could have two meanings. All the rest of them, though, are undoubtedly. At least we can change it to IRR. I feel confident doing that. Then our gloss, our word gloss, which isn't included here, we would probably change it to I'd.
I'd, yeah.
All right, let's go back to our text and words, see where we are. Okay, I'm going to search Azayenguru to get me in my spot. Right there.
So, because they were not leaves, but men, they were not leaves, but men, they fell to death.
Now, this goo here is interesting.
Yes, this is their first fail in our story. They saw the leaves floating down. They thought that looks good. Let's try to do that, and they climb
too.
and jump off. Say what?
There we get goregu too. So this goo at the end of stuff is interesting to me because I feel quite confident Tinoni by itself means men or humans.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things about Austronesian is they don't have gendered pronouns. So when we translate into English, now Dr. Alex Smith has told me there is one language community in central Borneo which has innovated gendered pronouns. Now that's over more than 1,200 languages. It happened a single time. But what happens is this is translated as men because at the time in English literature, that is how you would translate the plural of humans. But Tinoni almost certainly means
human beings.
Human. Now let's go for a second to the Austronesian Comparative Dictionary, just to show this to people.
Yes.
It's worth mentioning because so many of the world's languages that are undescribed and little described are Austronesian. It's worth mentioning in case you're working on one, and it's one of the things that we have to offer. Let's go to protoform indexes, Proto-Oceanic. I'm going to go all the way to T. I'm looking for TI. So I should have just clicked TI since it's provided for me. It is not. I thought it was. It is at some points in the dictionary. It is.
Okay. Here we go. Nana. Goatfish, man, male, Tinoni. Look at that. What a perfect match.
Although it does mean, it's taking a second to load here. It does have a meaning for man or male. But look, person also. Right, husband.
So in the green, those are language names.
They have it in Roviana as Tio. I should write to Dr. Alex Smith, who's now in charge of this, and tell him to add the Roviana word. And we should have them add Ghanongga as well, since it's a perfect match. Tinoni. Yeah, very, very, very cool. A human being as opposed to a ghost. So, Papapana is just west of Ghanongga on the island of Bougainville. It politically belongs to Papua New Guinea. However, geographically, culturally, etc., it's part of Solomon Islands. Solos, I actually don't know about that language. Bugotu is a Solomon Islands language on Isabel, which is part of the Western Province. However, it is not, it's genetically part of a different branch of Oceanic than the Western Province languages. Ngela, same. Sa'a and Arosi, same. All of these are Solomon Island languages, even though they're not in the same branch. So it's not that surprising to see it working that way.
It dropped an initial T. I don't think I've ever seen that change. Tinoni gu. So something fused onto it in this case.
What the gu means, I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and search for key. Tinoni.
It could be that quotative root. Oh, nice. 3 hits.
Tinoni, we get it by itself. One more man.
Oh, one more man. Makatinoni, one man.
Now there they have, look, Kori. So the re
Kori.
means plural or something. Tinoni, and you get people.
Ori, I think, is the numeral 2. I mean, it could have a ri as part of its makeup, but we see it elsewhere.
Is Kori 2? Let's check our lexicon.
Ari Kori.
2. All right. Very good memory, Tyler.
Thank you.
You're a steel vault.
On my better days, perhaps.
Natuturu Kori Tinoni. The crazy pair of people I have been passing on to you. Okay, so we do get a couple hits for that. And we have it translated also as people. So I'm willing to hazard, instead of translating it as man.
Yeah, let's be more up to date. That was the original. Oh, don't create this. Chop that who off if you would. I think it's going to be related to the who we've seen in tuhu and also to the quotative verb.
It sure seems that way.
But maybe something else. But anyway, tinoni is what we're after without the who.
And then if we go back to that, remember I originally said this who probably is some sort of like or simulative, like as. They were as humans.
Yeah, here. They were not because they were not leaves, but men being men, since they were men, yeah. So but men, by the way, men, many centuries ago in English, it was gender neutral. And we had a different word meaning male human, which survives in the word werewolf, by the way.
Was it?
But that's dropped out of use. Huh?
Weremen was humans or people, a man?
No, where was a man? W-E-R.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it was weremen together?
No, wolf means wolf. Werewolf is a man wolf.
I understand. So what was the word for man was just were, and then the word for women was.
Let's see. Woman is a compound. Wife, human. Wife, man were the parts.
Ah, so wereman wasn't husbandman. It wasn't wereman.
I don't know about wereman.
There was were and wifeman, and that was it.
Well, maybe not. Maybe there are others too. Our word queen is an old word for woman. If you know any Scandinavian languages, that's the root for a female person is a kvinna.
I'm going to hazard this is a noun.
Hazard away.
And we don't have goo by itself?
Always fusing onto something.
So I'm going to put it as a variant of, or allomorph of, goo say.
It's going to tell you mismatching morph types.
Yes.
Well, Zach.
Sense. I'm going to say as or like. Do you like more or as?
No preference.
I'm going to go with as because I think like can be too ambiguous. Very, very, very cool. And there we go. Uke gu.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we already have uke as death?
Yes, that occurred in the first.
As dead. Ooh. Ooh. I am super excited with this.
So leaf. So the people. Let's see the whole sentence there. So they didn't float. Not he didn't. Azake is going to be they didn't.
Then leaves. Float. So as men, therefore, he didn't float.
They didn't float. Thing. Could be thing, yeah. Go to Oto. But men.
I'm going to call this as dead. The ukega. And we should change this tinoni as people.
Ones as people, yeah.
Very nice. All right, I think we should put a pin in it and pause our exploration. And I shouldn't say exploration and discovery. It gives a very colonial vibe. That's not what's going on. It's personal discovery. I don't know Ghanongga. Tyler doesn't know. So we are learning something. anybody who studies a bunch of languages understands exactly this feeling, and it's probably the most motivating thing for me anyways, why to study languages. And personally, this is more why I'm likely to study languages that I don't have a bunch of exposure to, and languages that aren't very well understood by people in my community and my culture, right? So if you live in Gizo in the Western Province, probably some of this stuff is so obvious to you that you think I'm even dumb. Maybe, probably not Tyler, he's too smart, but me, you would probably think, how can this guy not get this immediately? But that's the way it goes. We learn other languages, we learn about other people, and then we learn about ourselves. We learn that Tyler has a steel vault for a mind, doesn't forget words.
I forgot one, but I can't remember which.
Let me ask you one question, Tyler. Now, for those that don't know, Tyler is a voracious polyglot, studies every language on Duolingo, and also walks around with flashcards. At least every time I've seen him in person, he's had a stack of flashcards with him. I bet there's one within arm's reach. In any case, have you made any flashcards for a Ghanongga?
I have not.
Do you think you need to, or do you think you'll just remember everything from studying it?
I'm not going to just remember everything straight away. No, I would need to if I were going to be sent there to speak the language and so on. I'd need to invest a bit more material.
Are you saying we should have a Lango field trip to Western Solomons?
Yes, see you there.
All right, dear listeners, if you want to go on a language learning trip to Solomon Islands, please contact Lango Institute. Get at us on Twitter, whatever. Email us. I'm Peter@langoinstitute.com. Tyler is Tyler@langoinstitute.com. Let us know if there's interest. It won't be cheap.
It won't be this month.
Wouldn't be cheap, but we would all go. I would go with you. Tyler would go. Perhaps Dr. Lisa Jun would go with us as well. We'll see. And anyways, I'll leave you with that, dear listener. And please join us next time for another installment of Learning About Ghanongga Language. I bid you adieu.